Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me at the art table again today. Wanted to talk about something that I know I find a little bit distasteful, but is still necessary. That is evangelizing your favorite media. I know. We've all known those really cringy people who can't wait to run up to people they've never met before and say, Hey, have you heard about this show? Have you heard about One Piece? Have you heard about Naruto? It's the greatest thing ever. You need to check it out. It's great. You'll love it. And that's all they can seem to say constantly in a loop. Drives me nuts. And yet, when I talked a little while ago about leverage, I said it was important to look at and build up the parts of media that we really like and simply treat the rest with apathy. Now, I think on the internet, people really struggle with the apathy part. There is this kind of feeding frenzy that just manifests whenever a really hyped piece of media drops. You see it around video games, you see it around movies, you see it around the next episode of that big TV show. Constant focus on the next thing, the next dopamine hit, the next injection of whatever kind of product they are pushing on you today. And part of that is human nature. I mean, I get it. When you see something that really gets you excited, you're like that weeb, you're like that comic book geek, you're like that television show junkie who just wants to go out and talk about the latest great thing they saw. That enthusiasm is great, and it has its place. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but there's another side to this. There are the people who hate that thing. And in the past, they just hated on it. Like they called you a dweeb, they gave you a wedgie, they shoved you in your locker, they gave you a swirly. I presume these things happened. They didn't happen to me. I was homeschooled, so I could avoid most of those jerks who would do kind of that thing. But my point is, it happened a lot. And I think most of us recognize that it wasn't great. And the internet has given us something similar that is not nearly as harmful or offensive to the people who love a thing. It has given us the criticism genre. People who pick apart a piece of media, they say this is why it's bad, and they go through all the people who praise that media, and they pick apart their arguments and they show why it's bad. And there's definitely some really good, high-quality content in there that is useful to process and look at a little bit. The problem is, as I said in my video on leverage, they are still chasing the narrative. Look, I love EFAP. I watch it just about every week. And what the guys do there is really some insightful commentary on storytelling and how to best approach it. But especially in the early days, I mean, did they really need to do like 30 videos on TLJ? I really don't think they did. There's only so much you can say about a bad piece of media before you've mined that for all the insight you can get, and you're just indulging yourself. Maybe that's good a little bit for entertainment purposes. But you need more than that. If we want better media, we must also evangelize. We must promote. We must talk up the good stuff. And we must analyze it and break down why it is good, why the things worked, why they satisfied us. That way we are not just a dork who's running up and saying, "Did you see this? It was great." We have to break down and articulate to other people why media is good. We have to help them hone their sense for good storytelling, for good character development, for good setups and payoffs, and for all these other things. That way, when they are watching something they think is great, in the back of their mind, they will be thinking, Oh, this is it. This is what we need to be looking for. And when they're watching all of that mediocre schlock that gets put out, maybe they still think, well, yeah, I enjoyed that. But man, it didn't have that really great execution of a character moment, or it didn't have a really great world building that gave us a sense for where all the characters were in the story. It didn't have the essence of good media in it. Yeah, I enjoyed myself. And maybe this movie will be a guilty pleasure. Maybe I'll come back and reread this book whenever I need a good time. I don't really want to think too much about the characters or stuff. But they will have in the back of their mind not only good media, but what about that media was good. And if you can articulate these things to people, if you can explain these things to people, if you can give people a grounding in what you really love about a piece of media, they are much more likely to go looking for it than not. There is a video done by Aidan Paladin on spoilers, which is a really fascinating listen to go through. She talks a great deal in there about how people want to know what they are going to get. And oftentimes, spoilers can help a person know what they are getting and that they will like a story, they will like a piece of media because they have confidence in what it is. You don't necessarily have to spoil a piece of media to explain why it is good to people. A good review can give people an idea of what they are going to get and still preserve the mystery. And that is admittedly a big part of the balancing act. But beyond reviews, to the average person, to the person who's not plugged into social media a whole lot, who just goes and sees a movie or reads a book or watches a TV show that you have also watched or read, for them to then talk to you and get your insights on it that point out those good bits, that shared experience that you really dug into and maybe they haven't so much, they will come away with a deeper appreciation for it, and they will begin to recognize that it's not in the other pieces of media they're consuming. That is what we really need to be able to do as we are seeking to get better media produced. We need to be able to evangelize not just a good piece of media, but what about it is good. That way, people will be on guard for those telltale signs of good media. They will be following them and they will be relating them to each other as they consume media. And hopefully they will become a little more discerning and we'll start to see a little better quality of stories in the TV, in the movies, in the books, in the comics, in the what have you that we are getting. Now I know there is always a lot of bad stuff out there. That's just the nature of the Pareto distribution. A small percentage is going to be great. Everything else is going to be mediocre or bad. And even if the overall quality raises up several steps, you're still going to have that distribution. But personally, I would take that distribution with an overall higher level of quality any day of the week. And I think that we really have to be able to drill down, articulate, and share the best parts of media with other people if we are really going to start fostering this critical, this careful, this quality sense that people need to have when they are approaching movies and television and whatever other entertainment they consume that is narratively driven. I know that sounds a little snobbish. Maybe it is. Maybe this is just me as a writer, as a creator, really frustrated with where we are culturally right now. But I don't think so. I think everyone wants better storytelling and kind of has a sense that in the last 5 to 10 years, American storytelling has taken a serious nosedive. We want to see it brought back. If that's really what you want to see, you have to think about what it is you really want and start building that desire in other people. I know, it's really cringy and not socially acceptable to prioritize things as good over something else that is bad. We've been trained to really hate that. That training is part of what has brought us to where we are now. Start looking at the good things. Determine why they are good. Share that with other people. Build up the appreciation for those good things. And in time, people will have to bring you those good things to meet the demands of culture. That's what I got for you today. That is what I think we really need to do to start bringing back good storytelling. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I hope you liked that. There's a like button and a subscribe button down below. You can use those as you see fit. Let me know what your favorite piece of media is and why it is good in the comments down below. and I will talk to you later.